Hi, I'm Annie with Bright Star Massage. I offer barefoot massage in Eugene, Oregon, and I also offer virtual video coaching across several time zones. You can check out my website and contact info in the description. Today I'm going to talk about setting up New Year's resolutions for success. Today's the 20th of December, so we're about 10 or 11 days out from the new year, and I've been thinking about my resolutions for 2022. Let me know if you have any exciting resolutions planned. I'm still working mine out. I love to use this time in December, the few weeks prior to the beginning of the new year, to sort of work out what my resolutions are going to be and work out the logistics of how I'm going to make them as successful as possible. So I look at this time of year as like kind of a trial run for resolutions. I reevaluate my goals all the time. Every week, every day, at the beginning of the month, quarterly, I'm always checking in and kind of dialing in my goals and routines more and more, as I evolve and change, and maybe my needs change over time, or I achieve certain goals and move on to new ones. It's something I do all the time, but there's something about this time of year that's just a good moment to stop and reflect on the previous year, what worked, what didn't work. Maybe there's something that I let sort of slip to the wayside that had been a goal, but it just got deprioritized as other things came up. It's just a moment to stop and reevaluate, make really conscious decisions about what I want moving forward in the next year. There are some fundamental rules to successful habit creation. Goals that are really well designed are successfully executed, and ones that are sort of poorly designed often don't work out. So I use this time of year to sort of trial run and practice different habits and routines to really dial in what specifically is going to make them successful. One of the most important principles is not setting too many goals. I fall into that trap a lot because if I let my imagination go wild, there are so many things that I want to achieve, but it isn't actually realistic to achieve them all or work on them all right now. Doesn't mean that they're never achievable. It just means that for the new year, as I'm picking my goals and routines, I need to focus on starting small and building on that. If you overcommit to too many new things at once, then some of those things just aren't going to work out. So it really is better to narrow down and focus on a few main goals and design them in such a way that they are achievable so that you are unlikely to fail or flake on them, because you want that success under your belt. Because when you are successful at achieving goals, then it sort of becomes part of your identity. Like you are somebody who achieves goals. Whereas if you fail at a lot of goals, then you kind of internalize that. And then that becomes part of your identity. Oh, I am someone that cannot achieve goals. You sort of teach that to yourself, or can kind of subtly start to believe that about yourself. Goals are difficult to achieve, and I'm not the kind of person who can achieve goals. Actually, you are, but it is important that they're designed properly so that you get some successes, before you make things too complicated and difficult for yourself. You want to have success achieving easy goals before you move on to more complicated ones. This is really difficult for me. It's painful to narrow down and eliminate. And I actually lost sleep over it last night. Now, it didn't help that we had our family Christmas party yesterday, and I ate a bunch of sugar and stuff I wouldn't normally eat. That makes my heart rate elevated when I eat sugar or like high carb foods, causes a little bit of anxiety. And I've just noticed that when we have holiday parties like that and I go off my normal clean diet and eat sugar, that it does make me a little bit anxious. Now, I'm not complaining because this was our family Christmas and it was super fun and the snacks are delicious. So, it's just the price you pay. But when I woke up in the night with anxiety, I was feeling really overwhelmed by the number of things that I want to accomplish in my New Year's goals, and had the realization that I really need to narrow down and get specific and probably eliminate some of my goals for right now and focus on the most important ones. So for me, anything having to do with nutrition or overall health, wellness, fitness, that's always a priority because it's really foundational. So if you have good overall wellness and good sleep habits, nutrition, fitness routine, it really makes everything else easier. It makes you more likely to succeed at every every other thing that you do in your life. And so I always make that a priority. And that's one of the reasons that I exercise first thing in the morning, so that I know that that's non-negotiable. I get it done right away. You know, whatever happens in the rest of the day just happens. At least I know that the fitness is done. So I've been looking at my current health and fitness routine and thinking about what I've been doing in the last 90 days for fitness and what changes I want to make. And I've thought of some changes, and I'm just kind of thinking out the logistics of that, what I want to do specifically and how I want to hold myself accountable and how I'm going to track it. Tracking habits is a really big part of success. I need to somehow objectively write them down and keep track of what I've done in order to succeed. So I've been setting all that up in my spreadsheets and organization. The other thing I'd like to focus on is practicing guitar and singing more consistently. I've been kind of sad off and on. It seems like I play music less and less as I get older because other things have just taken priority. And sometimes I have these intense moments where I think, wow, this is my life. My life is passing me by and I'm not singing as much as I would like to. And my voice has actually changed. You know, the vocal cords just kind of become very inflexible and sort of rust shut if you don't use them. And there's also like aging on top of that. And it's frustrating because when I randomly do pick up my guitar and play, it just doesn't sound very good. And that's discouraging. But the reason that it doesn't sound very good is because I don't do it every day. And so that has to come first. You know, the doing it every day has to come first before you get some of that vocal flexibility back. And then it starts to be a little bit more fun. So one of the things I've been thinking about and experimenting with in the last few weeks is playing guitar at different times of day to really determine what's the best time of day with my schedule and all of my other responsibilities where I'm most likely to stick to that time slot and make it happen. In the past, I've put guitar sort of in the afternoon or evening. Then because it's put so late in the day, sometimes other things come up and I just skip it. Life gets complicated, the day gets crazy, and somehow guitar becomes deprioritized. So I thought if I just move it up earlier in the day, that might be something that could work. So I've been experimenting with that. So I wake up super early and I do some journaling, drink some coffee. I do some chores, waiting for the sun to come up. And then I get outside with my dog, get some exercise, and then more chores, administrative stuff having to do with my business. And then I eat lunch. And I was thinking, maybe I should just pick a time slot and sit down and play guitar before I eat lunch. That makes sense. So I've been experimenting with that. So in service of making daily guitar playing as achievable as possible, as I've been practicing over the last couple of weeks, I'm also looking for any points of friction. Anything that comes up that might prevent me from following through, anything that makes it difficult. Kind of dialing in the order of operations for when I play guitar. And it sounds really like nitpicky and anal, but it's stuff like turning on the amp first. I have this big tube amp here that wants to be turned on and warmed up. So it's like remembering to turn it on and then maybe go do some chores while it's warming up. Where do I sit? What chair do I sit in? Do I have all the equipment in working order and ready to go? How easy is it to grab the guitar off the wall and plug it in, sit down in my favorite playing chair? Where's all my sheet music? You know, what are the top 10 songs that I would like to practice in the new year? What are the top 3 that I want to start with to warm myself up? I was noticing today that the strings that I have on my guitar are really quite heavy, and I could make it easier on myself by switching to some lighter strings. I actually have some. That could make it easier as I'm sort of like easing into practice. My hands are like kind of weak and tired, and it kind of hurts because I haven't played in a long time. So that's one thing that I could do to eliminate friction. So it's little stuff like that. How organized you are and how you set up for the goal makes you more or less likely to achieve it. For example, if you're someone who loves to play guitar with a pick, but you can't find your pick because you're not organized, that's gonna prevent you from playing. You might be in the mood and then you pick up your guitar, but then you can't find a pick, and so you get frustrated, and so you decide not to play guitar that day. You know, you just failed because you didn't have your shit together. So little stuff like that. I've just been trying on habits and practicing them, seeing how they feel, trying to determine how important they are to me so that I can decide what are the highest priority goals and which ones I should maybe put off and focus on at another time. Just getting everything organized, the time, the setting, the equipment, getting it all set up so that it's really easy to do the goal and I'm not likely to fail. So for the last few years, I've been thinking about December in that way. It's sort of like a pre-trial journal for New Year's resolutions, and I really like it. I like the feeling of freedom that there's not as much pressure, because like this isn't the real resolution that starts on January 1st. This is sort of the experimentation phase where we're kind of working out the logistics and really deciding which goals are most important. That's what I've been doing today. And also just having a super mellow, rainy, post-Christmas party day. It feels like a Sunday, it's actually a Monday, and I'm just sitting here trying to metabolize all this sugar that I ate yesterday. Anyway, let me know what your New Year's resolutions are, and if you'd like some help clarifying resolutions or working on a plan to achieve them, you know where to find me. My information is in the comments.